Welcome everyone to the first ever episode of Paranormal Corner. And today's episode, we'll be listening to my friend Jilly and she's going to be telling us about her paranormal experiences. Jilly, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So you told me off the show that you have some paranormal experiences you'd like to share?
Yes, I first want to thank you for having me on the first episode. That's a great honor, and I'm glad to be here. So, my paranormal experiences, I haven't had any recently, but I had a lot of paranormal experiences when I was a young child. I think my first experience happened when I was maybe 6 or 7, and my family had recently moved houses, so we were living in a neighborhood, and then my parents decided to purchase a fixer-upper, which, if you don't know what that is, that's basically when...
We all know what a fixer-upper is.
Okay, just making sure.
And it's not too bad in shape, but needs some work.
Well, the thing about the house is when we first moved in, the kitchen floor was in the ground. Like, it was just like basically dirt for a kitchen floor. So it was like a real big fixer-upper, but my dad was an architect and my mom was an interior designer, so they were kind of like a good team to fix it up. But anyways, it turns out that the property, we owned 14 acres, so we were in kind of a rural area, and it turns out that our house was on a battleground. It was a battleground during the Civil War called Cold Harbor. You guys could probably look it up if you wanted to, or visit if you wanted to. It's a great and beautiful park, but it's very, very haunted. As you can imagine, war grounds have a lot of, souls and spirits that wander around. And I was sleeping one night. My parents had just fixed me up a loft bed. And I don't know if you guys know what a loft bed is, but it's like a bunk bed but without the bottom bed. And it was my parents had finally fixed up my room. It was livable. And so the first night that I was up in my loft bed, I fell asleep, obviously, and I had a really strange dream. The dream was about, I'm sorry if anything happens, my cat's walking on my keyboard.
Okay, but I got dogs barking, so if my mic goes off, that's the reason why.
Okay. But anyway, so the first night that I fell asleep, I had a really weird dream. And the dream, I didn't know, I didn't know this at the time, but the dream was about war. Like, my cat is trying to knock down my monitor. Binks, cut it out. So my dream was about war. And at the time, I'm 7 years old. I haven't learned about what war is from school or anything like that. I haven't watched anything. My parents obviously wouldn't allow me to watch stuff like that. I was young. And so I would have these reoccurring almost nightmares because they were scary because I didn't know what they were. And it was like in first person. So it was like I was the one, like I was a person that was experiencing whatever was going on around me. And I think a spirit was trying to communicate to me because I was young, and usually kids, they are more open to spiritual contact because they're pure and, they haven't grown up yet and all that kind of stuff.
So the spirit was literally projecting its memories into your dream.
Exactly. I didn't know that, obviously I didn't know that was what was happening at the time, but as I grew older, I was asking questions and I did research and all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, that's basically what was going on. And of course I told my parents and they thought that was a little odd, but they could, they weren't saying it wasn't real, but, they were just kind of like, that's kind of, odd, let me know if it happens again. And I did have this happen at least 2 or 3 times after that. But another thing is that doors, since it's an old house, old houses, like they creak and they make weird noises. But on numerous occasions, my door would be like halfway shut and it would just slowly open and then close back again a little bit, if that makes sense. Like if somebody was coming in and opening the door and then shutting it back behind them. And that my room faced the scariest part of the house, in my opinion, which was the den. We then remade it into a living room, thank goodness. But I was afraid to sleep at night. Like I had to have my door closed. Honestly, it's really embarrassing to admit this, publicly, but I wet the bed so much as a child because I was too afraid to get out of my bed during the night to go to the bathroom because I felt like somebody was staring at me. And I actually ended up, when I was younger, not that these spirits were bad or they were malicious or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. It's just that I was unfamiliar and I didn't know, so they were creepy to me. And so I always felt like my loft bed had this kind of, there was 2 bars and there was like an opening between the bars. Like how, do you know what I'm talking about? It's like 2 wooden bars, like a railing basically.
Support bar.
And, and the railing, there's a hole between the railing. And I would collect stuffed animals like crazy, and I would line them around my bed so I could not see out of that crack because I could not fall asleep because whenever I turned over, I swear I would see somebody looking up at me and just watching me. And so if you probably can see old pictures, obviously you guys can't, but I'm sure there are old pictures of, pictures of my room, and my stuffed animals are just lined all around my bed frame. And that was because I was so scared, and I would pee the bed a lot because I was so afraid of getting out of my bed to go down the ladder because it takes a while longer to go down the ladder. And so it was just terrifying. I had a scary childhood, though. Growing up, I look back and they weren't mean spirits. I think they were just they were confused. They were wondering why they were still there. I mean, they had lost their lives in a tragic way. I think they saw me as a vessel and someone to communicate to that would just listen or whatever, and they try to communicate to me. And I obviously let them in because I believed in them. I was seeing them, so they probably felt safe. And I never was mean or I never said get away, and I don't think they ever meant to scare me either. I really don't. But I was a kid,
It seems legit to me how they'll project their memories into your dreams, because the dream world is actually a gateway.
The astral projection. Another experience, one moment. Another experience is not actually one of my own. Well, actually, I have 2 more. It's my mom in the same house. My mom my brother and I were at school one day. My dad was obviously at work, and so my mom was home with the cats. And she was reading a book on the couch, and her back was faced towards the hallway from the den, which is the room that I was previously telling you about that was also connected to my room. There was a hallway that led into the den, and then it also led all the way down. It's a pretty long hallway, led all the way down to the kitchen, and then there was a break-off point to where you go to my brother and I's bathroom and our rooms as well. But this was the living room at the time until we, then we moved it to the den. We redid the den. But at the time, our then sunroom was our living room. And so she was reading her book, and out of the corner of her eye, she saw something in the doorway. And so she immediately looked, and before she even saw anything, she started getting chill bumps on her skin, and her hair on the back started standing up. So before she even saw something out of the corner of her eye, she got this feeling, and then she saw something out of the corner of her eye. So she turned around and she saw this tall shadow figure with a tall brimmed hat, and she blinked and then it was gone. But she said that it resembled a soldier, one of the soldiers. I can't remember which side. I'm blanking on both sides right now. This is so sad. South and the north. I think it was a southern soldier. And she was frightened, but it never bothered her again. It was a one-time thing.
The flag on the.
She couldn't see the flag. It was just a shadow. They don't come. Not all the time. They don't come as clear. She just saw the shadow of it, and she noticed the hat shadow was a Confederate. You're right, it is Confederate.
Then that's the South.
Yes, it is. And then another one of my experiences is that it was my 12th birthday, and I was allowed to have 12 girls over. So it was my 12th birthday. I could have 12 girls over for a sleepover. And my 12th birthday party theme was all around the world. So This was one of the coolest birthday parties I've ever had. It's definitely one of my favorites. But all my friends, we got to dress up. Like, we picked a name from a hat, right? So my parents went out and they got all this cool stuff from different countries, like T-shirts from different countries, or like I know one was Hawaiian, so like we had a Hawaiian shirt and a leg, and like there's like one was French, we had a beret, like stuff like that, stuff to dress up as, like costumes, and then also different kinds of foods from these different countries. And so we each got to pick one out of the hat, and then we got to dress up as our country for the rest of the party, and we got to like make food and eat food and play games from countries, and it was just a whole lot of fun. But it was really late at night, and we were super rowdy. My parents had told me to keep it down.
Isn't rowdy at that time of night.
But we ended up going to the bathroom. So we ran into the bathroom because we were going to brush our teeth, and all of a sudden, my mom had bought this Confederate, like this Southern Confederate soldier old painting from like an antique store. You know how like they have old paintings or old pictures of people? She had bought one, and she had placed it as decoration excuse me, up in our bathroom. And so we were all brushing our teeth, and all of a sudden it slid off the counter and broke. Like, nobody had touched it. We were just brushing our teeth, and we watched it slide off, and like it was like somebody pushed it and it fell onto the floor. It was like we all screamed, and my parents ran in here. They're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And we told them what happened. And my parents, luckily, I'm very thankful that they never, they were never told me I was like making stuff up or like I was going crazy. They always said, they always believed me, basically. And I think it's because they've had paranormal experiences. I know they've had paranormal experiences. My parents have actually had, I don't know, like, it's not paranormal, but they've had like messages from God. I know like religion's a touchy subject, but they both had the same dream about the devil trying to make them sin in different ways, but they described the same person. And the thing is that my mom had a dream when she was in her 20s, and she kept it a secret because she thought she was just crazy, and it was one of the scariest things in her life. The devil was trying to choke her in the dream, and she woke up not being able to breathe and having marks on her neck. And so it obviously terrified her, so she never wanted to like speak about it, And then my dad woke up later on when they were married. I think my brother, it was actually when we were in the house that I was previously telling you about, the haunted one. He had a dream when my brother and I were really young, and he had like woken up in a sweat, and he was freaking out. My mom obviously woke up, with him too, and she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, what's wrong?" And he's like, "Nothing. I just had this really bad dream. Like, I just had this nightmare." She's like, "Well, what was it about?" And then my dad told her about this dream about the devil. Like, he was trying to get him to sin, and he was saying, "No, I will not defy my God." And my mom's like, "That's so weird. I had a dream in my 20s, similar, but not exactly the same. I was in a grocery store. My dad was in a flower shop." And my dad said, "Yeah, he was like pushing me, and he was shoving me, and it was getting really intense, and I was like trying not to fight back." And my mom said, "Well, what did he look like?" And so my dad started describing him, and he said he had this like slick back black hair, the brightest, most piercing, beautiful blue eyes that he had ever seen. He was tan. He was so handsome. He wore a leather jacket. And then my mom finished his sentence.
Kidding.
My mom finished his sentence and said, "and a snake ring with ruby eyes." And like my dad, they each got chill bumps, because my mom then goes, "That is the same exact description of the devil I had in my dream previously 20 years ago." Doesn't that like blow your mind? I have goosebumps, and I'm shaking thinking about it, that my parents both had such similar experiences dreaming about the same type of, like, same description of a person without even telling each other about it. Like, how would they know,
True.
I don't know. It was just crazy. And I think that might be also, like, I don't know if it was the devil or if it was, like, a spirit, like, manipulating them. I have no idea. But I thought that was kind of, like, paranormal-ish and interesting to also tell. But those are basically my paranormal experiences. I've had like little ones here and there as well over the years, but they are not as like, juicy as those.
Well, we still got a bit of time left. You can share the little ones.
So when I moved to Germany, come on. Sorry, Bargo is having some trouble with the cat. So, when I moved to the house in Germany, upstairs on the third floor, it was like another bedroom space because there was 3 floors to that house, and I always had gotten a creepy feeling when I first went up there. It could have been my room, and oh man, it would have been like one of those rooms you see in like those television shows like iCarly, where her room could have been like so fabulous with all these cool gadgets. It's so big, you have a couch in there and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was a huge space, and I could have had like a huge walk-in closet or like a game room on the side or whatever I wanted, and it was up for me to grab. But when I went up there to spend time alone, because I wanted to feel it out and see if I would really be happy up there or if I wanted to be down with my family, I got the most eerie feeling. I mean, upstairs it had your own bathroom. I had my own bath. I had my own shower. Like, it was like basically a little mini apartment, kind of, without the kitchen.
Well, all you really need is a camping stove.
I guess that is true. I could get like a George Foreman grill or something and a mini fridge. But so the bathroom, I would always feel really uncomfortable there. It was just like I always felt like I was being watched, and the stairs that like they were really small, narrow, and spiral stairs, and so those were just creepy in itself. I would always think there was somebody like right at the top of the stairs, because there's also like a small attic door to the right when you came up the stairs, but so I decided that I did not want to sleep up there, but when I had sleepovers, it ended up being a guest room because my brother was also offered the room, but he had the same feeling. Like, none of us were comfortable being up there to sleep alone. And so it was a guest room. So, like, when we had guests come and stay, that's where they would stay, because they would have their own bathroom, their own shower, and they would have, like, a lot of living space and, that kind of thing. So we turned that into, like, a guest room. And when I would have sleepovers, all my friends, we would sleep up there. Because I was okay with sleeping up there with my friends. I wasn't alone. So when we had sleepovers, it was a bigger space. So a lot of us could fit up there. They had tons of mattresses, tons of blankets and pillows, and our own bathroom and stuff like that, TV. And so we had sleepovers up there. And one time I remember, just for fun, we were going to go ghost hunting in my house. Just like as a fun thing to do when we were teenagers. And so we took a camera, and like sometimes with cameras, like you can get orbs or things caught with a flash.
Ghosts and spirits were drained with batteries.
Yeah, so a lot of the time the batteries would die. My computer battery would especially die in the house, but the camera would also die quickly. But we used the flash to go around and take pictures, and we found about like 15 orbs in my house. 15 from one night. And I don't think a lot of the orbs were like, because we didn't really have any experiences, we just kind of like saw them, so like I don't think they were really like hanging out there or lived there. I'm not really sure. I do know that the guy who had built our house and our crown molding on our ceiling, the ceiling was half finished, so like it was like super, super detailed on one side, but the other half, it was less detailed. And it was because the guy died in the house while doing the ceiling. And so I know that that's probably one of the spirits that was there. But
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Do you know the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
No.
A ghost is someone who has passed on but hasn't moved on. A spirit is someone who has passed on and moved on but chose to come back.
That's really interesting. I had no idea. Why would a spirit want to come back? I guess because like
protection?
Unfinished business and protecting their loved ones. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, true. Well, thank you so much for letting me tell my stories. It was really fun.
You're welcome, Jilly.
I gotta get back to dinner here soon. Argo's hungry.
Guys, if you want to check out Julie's social media, it'll be down in the description below. I'd like to thank you again, Julie, for joining me on the first episode of Paranormal Corner.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, I'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Stay haunted.